Got a couple minutes before the start time, so I'm just going to ramble a little bit. So, my name's Aiden. This is more so for the video than anybody watching the live stream, but um, I'm an inspiring Actor. I went to acting school for I guess 2 years, and I found a passion for filmmaking more so than acting itself, and I took up writing. It's not anything crazy, but I've been writing a lot of scripts and been interested in making things rather than being a part of the making things. And so this is why one of the reasons why I wanted to make this studio company, the Future Horizon Studio. It's just I might touch on this a little bit later in the stream, but when 8 o'clock hits, I kind of want to jump in. I'll do a proper introduction of myself and what I hope my company can do, and talk about the topic at hand. So I guess I will see you in a few minutes. All right, I guess I'll get started then. A little bit late, but I don't imagine very many people are going to show up, so we'll see. We'll see. Um so hi. My name's Aiden. Aiden Naughton. I'm a trained actor at Toronto Film School, and I've been doing acting since I was 18, I think. A little bit before that, if you consider the time that I spent in student film, but yeah, not too experienced, technically speaking. So my experiences basically boil down to school and and another program I took called the Premier Program, which is more of a showcase. I don't recommend showcases. They're not they're good if you're experienced. They're good if you understand what you're getting yourself into, but uh, they're not they're not good if you have no idea what you're doing. I have participated in many a short films, many a student films, and I would say that my acting skill is like somewhere around a five to six, and I'm hoping to improve that with well, the company that I want to establish, this Future Horizon Studios. I'm hoping to be able to use this opportunity to, well, work on my own acting skills, but also work on my film design skills, my film production skills, and to explore more about that. The studio is kind of like, right now it's a bit of a hobby, and that's one of the things that I wanted to do with this podcast specifically, is to explore different means of entertainment. So on top of that, I think I'm 6'3", 6'2" and a half, 6'3". I'm on the low side of the 6'3" mark. I'm I'm fit, but not like, I would say that I'm like a medium to almost athletic build. Like, I'm not skinny by any means, but I'm not muscular as well. And yeah, I mean, I don't imagine there's a whole lot more to say about myself. So I kind of today's topic is sort of an interesting one. I've had a discussion with a couple of people about it, and I think it's a really important topic to touch on. I mean, so the topic of today's sort of podcast talk thing, the Hollywood recession. The failure of quality in film media in Hollywood. When it comes to Hollywood, they have been honestly known for their standard. They've always tried to produce a better standard than what was previously produced. And this past year has been god awful. It's absolutely terrible. And it's not just anything to do with the whole thing about identity politics, which I'll touch on a little bit later, but it has a lot to do with the in a way, like, lack of understanding, lack of experience, lack of knowledge about these, like, the the lack of knowledge about making these higher end films. And I shouldn't be one to talk, because I don't make too many films. I hope to, but what seems to happen is these days is, like, they take these independent filmmakers, they put them in a room with other people that have been independent filmmakers for a while, don't give them any sort of explanation about what happens, and then it tries to have them make this super high-end film from nothing. Not nothing, but from what other people have written. So it's kind of, these are all kind of like things, these are all things that I'm going to touch on, and I want to explore things. I want to talk about the exploration of themes in today's podcast, and I want to talk about things like how indie short films, or even just indie movies in general, are surpassing popularity at this point with over top of the higher budget people. And yeah, so I think one of the biggest places to start is probably Disney. And everybody's going to be like, "Oh my god, Disney, like, they're good, but we know that they can't keep going forever." And it's not really the case. Like, okay, like, there's points where there's like intellectual burnout. There's points of like creative burnout. Like, sometimes you just need a break. and that's absolutely fine. Um, but when we're talking about the standard of the standard of entertainment when it comes to sort of made up characters of, like, in a sense, like, not necessarily made up, but it's like it's fiction, but they're they're known as the guy, the girl, the company that like should be insanely profitable, but this year they blew it out of the water with how much money they have lost. They blew it out of the frickin' water. It's unbelievable. And what I find is really interesting is that it's only the non-animated films. Like, I mean, Lightyear like dropped. It didn't do very well, but every other animated film has done amazing. Like this last year. Like, I think there was two, right? There was Encanto and there was Red. What was the Seeing Red? It was phenomenal. Like, even okay, and I understand what people mean about like there was like of course there was messaging in it. There's going to be messaging in it because it's film. But in terms of like exploring the theme of puberty, it's a phenomenal movie. Yet when it comes to the live action, the Star Wars, the Marvel, and even the live action remakes of the Disney films, they're not good. Like, Beauty and the Beast was all right, and from there those live actions got worse. And the same thing with Endgame. It was like Endgame was amazing, but then after Endgame, each each consecutive one kept getting worse and worse and worse. It's frustrating cuz like I would have loved to see a Loki TV show where it was about Loki, like, I don't know, have him solve a murder or some shit. Like have him use his creativity to succeed in something. Maybe it's something he's not good at, or it's something he has to do, right? But he's put into a position where he doesn't want to do it, and he has to use his wits. He has to use his brain. He has to use his mischievous powers to get him out of these situations. That's what we wanted to see. But then we got this weird bullshit about, I don't know, it's like the multiverse is against him, and then there's just a better female version of him that takes over. Like, what is this? Hey, Troy. Sorry, I didn't get your message. Oh, I guess it just came in. What are you up to? But yeah, it's like the whole thing about like yeah, that's fair. That's fair. The whole thing about Marvel and DC, not DC, Marvel and Star Wars. It's absurd. Really? What's the new Willy Wonka? Oh, okay. It's the one with Timothy Chalamet. Okay, yeah. I wonder how they're going to go about that one. Um, so do you know the topic of today's sort of chat, I guess? It's it's about the flop that was 2022. It was like, yeah, it's about the, I call it the Hollywood recession. It's just the amount of films that came out like from Hollywood in 2022 were so absurdly bad. And it's not even about like the quality of the film itself was fine. But when it comes to the writing, none of them, like, they could tell a coherent story, but they were always either handholdy or they made everybody dumb as hell for no reason. They can't take themselves seriously anymore. And that's an important thing, to be able to take yourself seriously as a as like a filmmaker, right? Is to take your character seriously. Like watching Thor: Love and Thunder, huh? It's brutal. Like, they made him a bumbling buffoon that couldn't deal with his problems on his own. He needed to have his like girlfriend there. No, I haven't seen Babylon. Is it any good? And there has been some success in Hollywood, like with it just depends on who it's coming from, because Disney had the worst of it. Paramount's had pretty bad. HBO's had it pretty bad. Um, there's all these like streaming platforms that aren't doing well right now, and it's mainly because they're not putting in any effort when it comes to making these films. And it's not that again, it's not that all the films are bad, but there's so much crap in it that it's like there's so much crap that it's almost outweighing the positives. Okay, yeah, I'll have to watch it. I haven't. I don't even think I've heard of it, but Babylon. All right, it's is it the one about the Yeah, it does seem pretty long. Is that the one about the she gets like famous fast? Like each person gets sort of famous, and then they're struggling with addiction. No, I could be wrong. Like I said, I haven't really heard of it, but I thought I saw an ad for it. No, yeah, okay. That's all good. Something, yeah, yeah. The one with Brad Pitt. Yeah, no. I guess I don't think I've seen the ad for it, because I would have known. I would have known if I've seen one with Brad Pitt in it. Um, but yeah, so that's another topic I wanted to talk about was, well, um, I guess sort of streaming services. Um, Streaming services. Oh Lord. I they're good in a sense. You have to have a large population of people. This is kind of straying from the original topic, but addiction to love, drugs, I guess fame. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of like, no, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. But so like there's so many, yeah. I kind of lost my train of thought. Hold on one second. Let me pull up my planner. I guess I'll just stick with Marvel for right now. So the amount of oh yeah, what about streaming services? So okay, so streaming services are only good with a large population of people. It's that's the only way it could work. And so there's like, well, you're paying $8 a month to watch unlimited whatever for however long, right? Or I guess it's like 10 now, or 14. And so what's happening is a lot of people are unsubscribing to these streaming services. And so they're trying to put these films that are dedicated to only the streaming services on streaming services, yet they're starting to lose money from those films because they've been made, they've been bought, paid for. But once they've been like, investors want their money back. And like, I think Amazon's streaming service, like, I think it was about 5% unsubscribed. Disney is about like 15%. Like, Disney like lost a lot from this past year with Marvel, Star Wars, and even their own like the live action. I think live action. What was the most recent one? The Lion King. That wasn't this year though. I don't think they did a live action this year. But you get what I mean. It's like it's it's weird thing to say because like you want people to have cheap things, but on the same note, you have to be able to afford. You have to be able to afford what you're putting out there. Now Disney can afford it because they have millions upon billions saved up from other whatever the hex, other projects and other like they have tons of investors and whatnot. But it just doesn't. It's not a good system. Like, yeah, it's. I don't like streaming services personally. Like, I'll watch stuff on them, but it's like in a business sense, it's not good business. It's not a good business practice. Um. So yeah, Marvel. Okay. Out of the amount of movies that came out last year and TV shows that came out last year, there was really only two success stories. There was, well, No Way Home, and then there was, let me think, Multiverse of Madness. That was okay. Um, there was Thor: Love and Thunder, which flopped. There was Loki flopped. Black Widow flopped. Shang-Chi did okay. Um, I thought there was one more that I don't know. But out of like a lot of the movies, they broke even. They did okay. The TV shows barely broke even as well. The first few times was good, like the Loki, um, WandaVision. That one from 2021, that was fine. But once we got to like She-Hulk was a flop. We had God, I gotta pull up a list. I don't remember all of them. Moon Knight was okay. Um, Miss Marvel was fine. Hawkeye flopped. The What Ifs flopped. Yeah, it's like when they're losing as much money as they do, a normal business would go out of business. But yeah, um, so it's we gotta figure out why it's happening, and a lot of people think it's because a lot of people blame it on the agenda, which I mean, it's a fair criticism, I guess. Is right now the biggest talk of the town is progressive, um, like identity politics, whether like whether positive or negative, right? Um, but the problem is when they're writing about these topics, instead of exploring the themes in creative ways, instead of trying to like focus on a specific aspect of these problems, they just they either rush it. They throw it out there, and then they just ignore it for the rest of the TV show slash movies. Or they try to like do so many at once that it's overwhelming. Say for instance, if you had seen like She-Hulk, I don't know if you have or not, but when you look at She-Hulk, it's like at first she's talking about like the issues of women in the workplace, which is great. We can talk about that. But then like from that same episode of talking about women in the workplace and the issues that they have, they're also talking about like they make light of the issue and then they brush it off, and then they throw in something about what's it called? What's the first episode? Yeah, the training montage is like women are better than men and this and that. It's like it doesn't matter where you're starting from, as long as like a character, like if you want a character to be likable and you want a character to be relatable, a lot of times they have to start from a position of lesser than whatever they're trying to accomplish. Yeah, I would recommend watching it. Not because it's good, but because you can see the way they write is not it's not the way you should write if you're ever deciding to write. But the way they depict men men is the main antagonist of the first few episodes. It turns out at the end, spoiler alert, that the audience is the enemy, but I don't, it's yeah. So they also have that issue where they're trying to I know exactly. They don't take itself seriously. The first episode is literally this, right? Jen Walters, she's a lawyer. She's in her office practicing a closing statement for a trial. But the guy, there's two other people in the room. There's a man and a woman. The man is putting her down, saying that he would do a better job, and then she's trying to bring her up and pushing the man away, right? So then, after immediately that, she's on a drive with Bruce, who's, oh, yeah, especially the Meg the Stallion twerking, right? That their comedy is so empty. It's a nightmare. Yeah, so they end up driving. She ends up driving with Bruce, who has like a magical apparatus that just prevents him from being Hulk. And so they get into a car accident. She saves him. He bleeds into her, and then so it's just like these weird installations of events that don't make sense that are thrown together. And it's just like she's showing up everybody all the time in that one episode. If you just watch that first episode, I don't like you don't have to, but if you're able to watch that first episode, it is atrocious. And if you wanted to explore themes of like if you want to explore themes of like women, like abuse in the workplace, right? Why not show like she's trying to get like she's trying to get a case, but every time she tries, somebody shuts her down and switches her out, right? And so then and then there's a guy who's constantly hitting on her, and then you have to why not make it so that those men are like disgusting men, right? Make them absolutely repulsive, but don't make like all the men the same way. And so that way we can understand her, like we can relate with her that she's going through this hard thing and those men are assholes. But on the same note, it's not that all men are assholes. It's Yeah, it's frustrating. So yeah. But like all these things are like so close to being okay, but they're just missing the mark. And I think honestly, it's a good wake up call for the big people, like the big industry people. Like I hope within the next year or two they decide to start, like, not even, I don't want like anything bad to happen to whatever writers. I don't want anything bad to happen to, I just hope that the writers, instead of seeing all like the criticism that people have been putting out about their work, have it be the fact that like they take it and they decide to follow the criticism and try to better themselves, instead of just like ignoring everybody and saying everybody else is a problem. Because the audience isn't the problem. The audience is your moneymaker. And I'm not saying that you should always pander to your audience, but on the same note, if your audience is screaming at you that your show sucks, then you should probably think, why does my show suck? You know, like it doesn't make any sense. And I don't know if that's just like an LA thing, like that's just like a bunch of rich people who don't want to listen to anybody else. I don't know if that's like I don't know if that's just like the big company corporates that like get to ignore people. But even with like Rings of Power was an absolute travesty. And it's like we were already astounded, like us as people who were fans of Peter Jackson's trilogy. We were absolutely astounded that Amazon had the gall to buy the Rings of Power. Exactly. Yeah, the people have the power. Yeah. And I think they don't I think they tend to forget that, is like because they've been holding the torch for so long, their flames starting to go out, not literally, but yeah, exactly. Exactly. Shit like that. Is like your audience is what makes or breaks you as a not a franchise. Yeah, as a franchise. So it's like I don't see why they can't understand that. But with Rings of Power, it's like they bought the IP to Lord of the Rings, which is fine. But instead of using what was given to them when they bought it, which was their original goal, they hired people who decided to say fuck all to whatever they had, and because they thought it was stupid. It's like, man, you're looking at one of the biggest names in fantasy history, and you go up against the world to say this is stupid. You have some fucking balls, dude. Like, and to like absolutely disregard the books that it came from, to disregard the characterization of the people in the world, and the disregard of just simple like world building that has been created. It's atrocious. Absolutely fucking disgusting. And the worst thing is, it would be one thing if they had changed the lore and made an interesting story from it, but it was just boring. They try to make another Game of Thrones, like what Jeff Bezos said. They just try to make another fucking Game of Thrones, and it did not work. It was terrible, boring, sometimes incomprehensible. Like, and so they put, I think they were bragging over $1 billion in it, and the only way it's staying afloat is because Amazon already had members signed up for their Amazon Prime. That's it. Nobody was like buying Prime for Rings of Power. Nobody bought Prime for Rings of Power. That's not like an absolute statistic, but like very few people bought Primes for Rings of Power. And then the worst thing is they made a mockery of it themselves by doing the interviews afterwards. Like, what the hell? What the hell is going on? Like, trying to say that, like, it doesn't make any sense that they would be manipulated. It's like, if you don't know who you're talking to and they offer you a solution to a problem that you've had for a long time, of course you'd be interested in what they have to offer. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, Hollywood's in a weird spot. um, I think, I think, I think so. I think a lot's going to change soon, but I think it won't be next year. It might not even be the year after, but I think something's going to change where we as like I myself I want to start this production company for the sole factor of producing quality movies, music, and other things. Produce away, you know. But yeah, me too. I am excited for Dune 2. I think a lot of heart went into making that movie. I think it is one of the few fantasy movies that like in modern day have had heart and also stuck to their guns, you know. I think I think I think this generation of filmmakers are afraid, like absolutely fucking afraid of trying things that happened in the past. They're afraid of having the stereotypes, quote unquote. And so it's like they don't want they don't want to be remembered as the people in the past. But they're also not experienced enough, wise enough, or even like like they don't even have like their ideas aren't like impressive, you know. It's not anything that's groundbreaking. And so I think Hollywood's going to be humbled here in the next few years. And I don't think it's like going to like kill Hollywood. I don't think that in the slightest. But I think you would think so. You would think so. I wouldn't say most, actually. You would think there's a lot of things, and absolutely there are some like there's jokes that have been outdated. There's action films that have been outdated. There's a lot of tropes of like a women in white underwear in the hallway, sort of outdated stuff. And those are things we can keep in mind when we're making films, right? Yeah, no, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. But at the same time, I also think that there are a lot of things that we are too like too aware about. Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. And if they're like so bad that of course it's important to change it or to remove it. But at the same time, I do think that we are also too self-aware, not self-aware, too almost overprotected in the sense that a lot of things that feel like they should hurt us probably aren't as bad as people make them out to be. And for instance, it's one thing to have a like Okay, so say there's like that scene with like the underwear right in the hallway. There's like, of course that's like a male gaze thing, right? But say for instance, right, she was doing it to get information from a guy who was trying to smuggle something. So then where does that line go between its um it's male fantasy, male gaze versus the woman character using her sexuality as a tool to accomplish what her goal is. And I'm not saying like there needs to be like a sex scene or whatever, but I'm just saying is that when will we stop? When will we stop? Like, one, over sexualizing women, but two, also recognizing that women have control over their own sexuality and exploring that topic as well. You know, there's a lot of interesting topics we can talk about, but yeah, it's there are some like Aristocats, right? Is like that the song of like the Chinese songs with the Siamese cats. It's like that's not necessary, especially in a movie about cats. I was trying to, but it turns out it costs money to stream on two platforms. So I'm wondering if maybe people were sent to YouTube and didn't make it over. But yeah, I was trying to. I can't. Not right now, anyways. Maybe later. Um, but I am recording this and also going to put it onto the YouTube account. So if you wanted to, if you wanted to follow me on there, for Streamlabs OBS, it does. If I were to download a different program, but then I'd have to learn that program. It could be free, but yeah, they have a. I'll have to figure it out later, but right now I'm just not going to worry about it. But I will. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to put the VOD, and also I'm going to edit the VOD into clips as well. So there'll be like the raw footage and clips on the YouTube channel, which you can check. I think you can check out under the stream. Yeah, that's fair. What does he use? Do you know? Yeah, I imagine so. Is it? I think it's like Amazon, right? Kick is Amazon, or is it Xbox? Kick. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of topics I do want to talk about. Oh, you you didn't need to subscribe, bro. I appreciate that, but no, I'll take it. I'll take it. Thank you. Oh, you mean on YouTube, right? Okay. I was like, wait, subscribe? What? No, on YouTube. That makes more sense. I was like, wait, I thought subscriptions cost money on here. They do, but you meant YouTube. So yeah, and I'm not sure if you know what I'm like. So the logo that's on the stream is well, it was just kind of a throw together thing, but it's a production company I want to do. Um, I just want to, well, I want to be able to do films, and I think I'm much better at making films than I am and acting in them. And so I wanted to establish a company that will produce quality over quantity, but also be able to do it efficiently, you know.
And yeah, so I'm these streams are mostly going to be a podcast style, I believe. I'm going to try to get more people on so it's not as boring and I can have like a discussion. But for that I need viewers. So I'm going to keep trying to uh post what's it called, the stream link on Facebook, on here, not on here, on Instagram, on Twitter. Try to get people's attention, and then use the YouTube and Twitch and stuff to start actively filmmaking. You know, yeah. So I don't imagine I'll be on much longer since it's just me and you, buddy. Yeah, I thought Sanji would have stopped by too. There's a bunch of people who said they were going to, but I think people just stopped in and then left. So it's all good though. I can, yeah. I'm not gonna. I'll just let him know that there's a video he can watch. There. Yeah. It's been an hour. We talked about the conversation that I wanted to have. So, but yeah. Have yourself a good night. I'll be doing this next week as well. If you're free, just hop on for a little bit. All right. Have yourself a good night. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Well, this was the Broken Leg podcast. Be doing it Saturdays at 8 p.m. And yeah, have yourselves a good night, everybody.